Let me tell you a story. This is me when I was 14. Skinny, addicted to poor habits, processed food, unhealthy beverages, and later on, alcohol through my college career. Some people would see that as a young man having fun, enjoying life, and having a good time. I respect that, but I don't agree with it. As the years passed by, those fun times became pointless. Started taking a little bit too much of my health. Found myself trapped in a cycle that was hard to break. The need to find food to compensate something that I was not finding online. For palatable foods, things that would make me comfortable. The drinking alcohol, coffee, or consuming sugar might lie to your brain as cocaine. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It's just the overconsumption of these things lead us to a bad end. That's when I decided to make the change. Not just a temporary fix, but a change for real. You see, a couple years ago, I was not as focused and dedicated to self-improve my life as I am right now. I'm trying to become smarter, faster, stronger, and to each day learn a new life lesson. Coffee was the easiest one. I was never a coffee guy. In fact, I haven't drank coffee for much more than a year at this point. But I was always intrigued by why people were so addicted to coffee when it doesn't taste that good. But on the top of that, I always thought that coffee would just make me feel a fake sensation of energy that didn't actually exist. It's like having a car with no gas, but somehow you just have an explosion behind the car that makes the car move. It don't necessarily mean the car is going fast because it's capable of going fast, but something affected that, and now you just make the car move in a high speed until it suddenly stops. Which, according to research, caffeine definitely make you have problems to fall asleep, reduce how much sleep you have. Also, the quality and the deep sleep that we know, it's definitely affected by how much caffeine you take on that day and when you take. So, meaning that how much you take and when you take matters a lot. Most research show that coffee takes about 6 to 8 hours to leave your bloodstream, meaning your last cup of coffee should be around 2 p.m. if you're going to bed at 10. You're gonna end up facing a wall where you're gonna need more and more coffee. Which, talking about stress, I bet that 99% of you watching me right now is always looking for a way to relax. And don't get me wrong, it's the human nature. We're always looking for a way to be comfortable. But some ways are better than others. And that's why I quitted alcohol. When I was in college, alcohol was just a stress relief. It was something that I would consume over the weekends, also associated with parties. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you shouldn't drink for the rest of your life or never experiment, but I want you to have in mind that there's no benefits of drinking alcohol besides the pure fake feeling of happiness. But with time and age, the consequences of drinking more and more will show up. Some of you become better on holding alcohol just because you're drinking more and more. Not necessarily because you are superhuman. But there's no dosage of alcohol that could definitely benefit you in any degree. Some people just think that, for example, red wine could definitely benefit you. If you actually want to get the phytonutrients, you could be looking for supplements or the consumption of grapes, for example, to get the same benefits. However, I just want to make sure that you, at the age 18, 19, 20s, that you watching me understand that there's no freedom by eating and drinking whatever you want, whenever you want. The freedom to do that is actually on the discipline of eating and drinking the things you need. A healthy person that decides to drink now and then, have one or two poor habits, has more space to hold the consequences of it. It will almost not make a difference on their life because they're constantly doing the right thing. Because when I decided to stop drinking a year ago, it's not because I think that I'm better than you somehow, just because I quit sugar, alcohol, and coffee, but because I decided a year ago that I would have the freedom to be able to enjoy my life, put intentions to the moment, and choose whatever I want to consume without the need of external drugs. I want to be able to fulfill my life and live every single moment 100%. So quitting alcohol was one of the smartest decisions I did, because now that I was not partying as often and not drinking as often, I was healthier. And because I was healthier, I was not getting sick as often. I haven't been sick in 2 years. I was able to do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. By not drinking alcohol or consuming coffee, I was actually becoming a superhuman. On the top of not consuming alcohol and coffee, I decided to cut sugar. But the thing with sugar, it's a little different. It's not necessarily the sugar itself is gonna cause you damage like excess coffee or excess alcohol would. When I decided to be a chef and a nutritionist, I understood that people look for foods that bring them comfort. Most of the sugars that contain sugar, they bring you comfortable. They're easy to adapt to your taste. When you compare a piece of broccoli made of olive oil and salt and a piece of cake, for sure the taste is much stronger on the piece of cake because there is much more chemical reactions happening there and there is much more concentration of palatable components. Where in the broccoli, you just have the broccoli itself, a couple proteins being broken down. But I'm just saying that when you're able to pay attention and actually taste the broccoli and how should it taste, the taste is much more deep because now you're able to feel and put intention to it. Where the palatable stuff is just fulfilling you, or most of the time fulfilling something that you're craving for. When most of the people eat, they tend to feel the need for dessert right after they eat. And that happens because you probably didn't pay attention to your food while you were eating, or you're actually lacking on something. So let's say perhaps you spend the entire day not eating anything. And let's say perhaps now the only meal that you're gonna have that day is dinner. And because you didn't eat all day, now you're hungry. But you're trying to lose weight and you decide just to eat your normal amount of dinner. So now you're missing all the nutrients that you should be consuming all day, but you're trying to compensate in one meal. There's nothing wrong with that, but what most people do, it's not to eat extra on that meal because by somehow they think they're either gonna get fat or because it's just feels wrong. Because of that, through these 365 days of cutting sugar, alcohol, and coffee, I have realized that health isn't about restriction. It's about libertation, a construction of atomic habits and not a single action. It's a little bit that I'm gonna do every day that is gonna make me better and it's gonna make me be able to enjoy my life for longer. So hello, this is me from the future and this video was recorded about a year ago, which means I have been doing what I told you in the video for about 2 straight years. And if you want to do the same and achieve your goals, lose weight, gain weight, and do what 99% of the population doesn't, be part of the 1%, follow the community on Instagram. Welcome in. Most athletes and weekend warriors do not know how to supplement, proper consume food, and how to keep their mind straight achieving those goals. So if you want to make part of the community, please follow us on Instagram and apply for a free call with a nutritionist. With that said, as always, stay healthy and let's talk nutrition. Remember, health is a habit, not an action.